Let's move it on to the next topic, and that topic is how I miss G4. Tear. It's gone away. And G4, if you don't know what it was a TV channel that had a lot of focus on some video games and movies and just cool stuff that I like to watch. And now it's gone. And it's actually been gone for about a year, so I don't know why I'm crying about it right now. But G4 was a really, really cool channel. They had things like Attack of the Show, which was their own kind of little 1-hour variety show that kind of caught you up on some of the cool comic book movies, video game, TV shows, and stuff like that. Just stuff that, kind of like what we talk about here on the show, those types of entertainment things. And it was really cool because every year during E3 and Comic-Con, they would do like 5 days of full extensive coverage. You'd see every single on-hand demo that was at one of those conferences. You'd see all the projects. They used to live broadcast all of the press conferences. Like today was cool because Spike did a live broadcast of the Microsoft conference and also the EA conference, which I watched both of those today. We will have more on that next week. But those were really cool. It's just when they were done with the conference, and now there was no commercial breaks as well. I got to mention that. They did a very good job making sure there was no commercial breaks. And that's probably because E3 is just one big advertisement in itself. So, like, how are you going to have commercials outside of more commercials?
Yeah, they probably were. I think they were sponsored by several groups to get extra airtime or whatever for their project,
Mm-hmm. But so that was pretty cool. But then when they broke off after the press conference, they had a panel of people. And now Adam Sessler from G4 was actually on one of those panels, and he was pretty insightful and pretty good. But the rest of them just were kind of eh. They had these women there that, yes, they were attractive to look at.
Spike's version?
Spike's version, I'm sorry. Yeah, Spike's version. And they had some women there that were attractive to look at, but, G4 used to have the attractive to look at women that also knew games. It's just like, it's almost like Spike is like, we're going to throw women at you because we think that's what you want to see, but they're not really going to be insightful. So, which is kind of sad because there's a lot of really, really insightful, entertaining women who know exactly what's going on with this stuff, and they just kind of miss the mark on it, I guess.
Yeah, and that's one of that goes back to one of those complaints about the video game industry that's been coming up a lot lately of, a lot of these big companies, not including those that are talking about it, not realizing there are a lot of women gamers out there that know what they're talking about, that you could also appeal to, that you don't need to just use women to sell games to men.
Yeah, and that's actually probably a lot of a turnoff for a lot of these women gamers is to see that. They're like, oh, that's what they want me to look like? No, we want you to be who you are. Just enjoy playing the game just like everybody else, and what's the difference, But it's almost like they're ostracizing one certain group of the population because they think, oh, the men buy more games. And it's granted we do, but I don't have the stats in front of me, but I can guarantee you just over the past 10 years, the amount of female gamers has probably quadrupled. I mean,
yeah, honestly, the last time I saw all the stats, and this was even like 2-3 years ago, the stats from some game industry insiders was like, 40% was women.
So 44%.
So it's still, almost even.
And you are, even in gaming, you're seeing this kind of shift to more stronger female characters, not the stupid characters, but the really strong, like the Tomb Raiders, the reboot of that series. They did show a trailer of that, which was awesome today. They're really making her into an actual character instead of a pair of boobs running around on screen, which she had been before. You have games like...
with guns. She was pretty badass
with guns.
Before, too. But so.
Well, yeah, but come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but still, like, she wasn't much of a character other than... I'm Indiana Jones with lots of large assets.
I like how you put that. Lots of large assets. But yeah. But then they showed her most recent game was awesome, and then they have another one called Rise of the Tomb Raider. They showed her as a really nice, strong female character, which is really cool to see. You have a series like Mass Effect. Now you could either pick as a female lead character or male lead character. And now I didn't do it this way because I like to pick the games. I actually make the characters that I play in games like those look like me. So that's what I do, but I heard that if you were the femme shep, as everybody likes to call them, that was actually the better voice actor, and she was a lot better of a character than actual male Shepard. So, I mean, cool games like that to show that. And I don't know how we quite got onto the topic of female gamers.
We were talking about G4, so
yeah. So, but we did. So that's how we roll here at Words My Face. We transition without you even knowing it or us knowing it, but we do. Yeah. So, just in a synopsis of everything is G4. I miss you. You got to get something back. I mean, I still have the G4 app on my phone, and it's like last update was like a year and a half ago. So it's kind of.
You know what I think, honestly though, has happened to fill that void, and probably one of the reasons why they started falling off is, you know, the little nooks and crannies of problems at G4, but there's been a big gaming community building up of gaming, you know, video makers on places like YouTube, places and on their own sites connected to YouTube. Like you think of Screw Attack,
Words from My Face.
Words from my. You got people that do stuff like us, exactly. Screw Attack, which does more retro games, but also talks about recent games and does their own new stuff. But they're all online.
IGN, you can't forget those guys. Those guys have a great
GameSpot puts out a bunch of stuff.
I was actually watching the PlayStation conference or Sony conference on GameSpot, you know, so there are a lot of cool things. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about is Spike aired the first two conferences, but they didn't air Sony's. They're not going to air Nintendo's or like I believe 2K Games has a big one, and there's a bunch of other game developers that are going to have their own conferences. You're just not going to be able to see on TV. You're going to have to find it online, which isn't that hard. So I don't know why I'm complaining. But
yeah, for most people anyway, that would be watching this, it's not that hard. I mean, GameSpot was showing a lot of it. Nintendo's going to send a lot of their information directly to people. I think it's going to be up on the Wii U, and they'll have it online. A lot of the game makers will stream their own stuff, but again, GameSpot will talk about it. Several other sources will have this stuff because that's a lot of where the industry is going right now. People like having their content online. It's around. It's available. You know, sometimes you can put it up while you're at work on a side screen somewhere, and that's what I was doing today for some of the conferences. I just had it.
Shh, don't tell them that. Your bosses might be watching.
I'm still working. Don't
tell them that.
I was just listening.
You still need a job. We're not that big yet.
All right, you're right. I heard about others.
He heard. He heard. He did not watch it
about others possibly putting up these conferences on a side screen.
In theory.
Yes.
Hypothetically, he was watching. Hypothetically. But yeah,
I was only in character watching. I was not actually watching. That's all for the story.
That in the greatest theme of things, but yeah. So, but yeah, we just need more places for games. You know, more of a streamlined thing, a more mainstream thing, and you know, hopefully, you know, IGN is pretty big. I like to watch a lot of their stuff, and maybe we'll get big too.
Only with viewers like you.